There are moments in a courtroom when the entire room holds its breath, moments when someone who has always believed they were untouchable finally hears the word jail. And on that day, in a quiet courtroom in Ohio, that someone was 27-year-old Hannah Freeman, a former fourth-grade teacher, a respected professional, and the daughter of a police chief. She had spent months convincing herself she couldn't be punished, that her connections would shield her, that consequences were for other people. But when the judge read her sentence, everything she believed came crashing down. This is the story of a breakup that spiraled into stalking, a system stretched by privilege, and a woman whose meltdown revealed just how far she thought her power reached. But as dramatic as that courtroom moment was, it's not even close to where this story truly begins. Hannah Freeman lived what looked like a full, structured life. She was a well-educated teacher in North Ridgeville, Ohio. She held a master's degree, worked with children, and came from a respected family. Her father, Michael Freeman, served as the chief of police, a role that carried influence, authority, and power in their community. And for most of her life, that privilege worked quietly in the background until it didn't. The events that brought Hannah into a courtroom began months earlier with a simple relationship that ended in April 2024. But for Hannah, the ending was never an option. And for the man she once dated, a teacher named David, the months that followed would be some of the most frightening of his life. On paper, Hannah and David looked like a perfect match. Both were educators, both dedicated to their schools, both navigating the early, hopeful stages of their careers. David worked at a middle school in Westlake, Ohio. He was calm, soft-spoken, and respected by his colleagues. Hannah, meanwhile, taught fourth grade, and was known for her confidence, sometimes bordering on assertiveness. People who knew Hannah described her as intelligent and ambitious. But beneath that professionalism was a mindset shaped by years of knowing she had a powerful safety net. In 2022, when neighbors complained about noise coming from her home, Hannah didn't respond with apologies or explanations. Instead, she told responding officers, "My dad is Michael Freeman. I won't get in trouble." Those words weren't just a statement. They revealed a belief, one that had been reinforced over and over again. She wasn't just a teacher. She was the police chief's daughter. And she believed that title mattered more than accountability. So when her relationship with David ended, Hannah didn't accept it. In her world, no wasn't a boundary. It was a challenge. When David decided the relationship had run its course in April 2024, he expected a clean break. But almost immediately, Hannah began showing up in places she shouldn't be. First at his school, then near his home, then in the same parking lots he used after work. At first, David tried to ignore it. He told himself it would stop. He told himself she was just having trouble moving on. But the visits didn't stop. They increased, then multiplied. According to police GPS tracking and school security data, Hannah visited his workplace 33 times in just 19 days, sometimes 2 or 3 times within a single afternoon. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't confusion. This was surveillance. And at night, David said she followed him home every single night. Imagine finishing a long day of work, getting into your car, and knowing someone is behind you, not by chance, but by intention. For a month straight, that was David's reality. But everything escalated on November 6th, 2024. That day, Hannah arrived at David's apartment uninvited. She expected to stay the night. David told her not to come, but she came anyway. And when she discovered another woman inside his apartment, something inside her shifted. Instead of leaving, she went to David's unlocked car and took items she knew he needed every day: his laptop, his wallet, his prescription medications, backpacks, and keys. These weren't random objects. These were tools of daily life, the very things that would force him to reach out. It wasn't impulsive. It was intentional. And, for the first time, David realized this wasn't just unwanted contact. It was a crime, but he still waited until the next day before calling 911. When David made that first call, his voice quiet, stressed, and tired, the dispatcher asked how long this had been happening. "Probably a month," he said. A month of fear. A month of being followed. A month of hoping it would stop. But the next day, Hannah was back, parked in the school lot again, watching, waiting. When officers approached her, The interaction revealed everything. They asked if she had been in David's vehicle. She casually said they went to get dinner together. She claimed he invited her. No fear, just calm. Scripted answers meant to reframe the situation. But inside the school, David was telling officers a completely different story. He described the stalking, the stolen items, the credit card charges, all made through Amazon, the access to his online accounts. He said she knew his passwords. She had been messing with his information, tampering with things that held pieces of his life. Police immediately arrested Hannah on 5 felony charges: stalking, burglary, aggravated theft, 2 counts, identity fraud, drug theft. These were serious crimes, charges that could have led to real prison time. But months later, something unexpected happened. He argued the theft wasn't really theft, just a misunderstanding. It was a strategy: minimize, soften, sanitize. But when it was time for Hannah to speak, she read from a brief, carefully prepared note. She said she acted out of emotion that night, as if one night explained an entire month of stalking. The judge saw right through it. He called the situation a bizarre breakup. He said the evidence painted an alarming picture. Then he delivered the sentence: 18 months of community control, 90 days of GPS monitoring, house arrest with work release, mandatory mental health counseling. And then the part no one expected: 7 days in county jail. The moment the judge said jail, Hannah broke. Her reaction was intense, crying, shouting, completely overwhelmed. The judge calmly refused. He reminded the lawyer that he'd had 6 months to discuss sentencing and never did. Hannah was taken into custody as her shrieks echoed through the courtroom, a dramatic, emotional collapse from someone who had always expected protection. For David, it was validation. For Hannah, it was reality catching up. Hannah served 7 days in jail, but her consequences didn't end there. She lost her teaching career permanently. Her reputation suffered. Her attorney faced intense criticism for mishandling the case. David finally has legal protections, no contact orders, GPS monitoring, and a court that took his fears seriously. The case sparked national conversations about male victims, female perpetrators, privilege, and the systems that too often minimize these situations. Hannah's behavior fit the pattern of entitled stalking, reframing unwanted contact as helping, escalating when denied attention, and assuming consequences didn't apply to her. But in this case, they did. Sometimes justice arrives slowly. Sometimes privilege delays consequences. But eventually, truth has a way of surfacing. The story of Hannah Freeman is a reminder that boundaries matter, accountability matters, and ignoring the warning signs can let simple conflicts grow into life-altering events. So the real question is this: what happens when someone who's been protected their whole life is finally forced to face the consequences of their own actions?